All right. It is time for End Hype Live. It's Thursday, 5 p.m. for everybody that's on the replay. Hashtag Team Replay in the comments. Appreciate all of you. Today, we're going to talk about something that kills more opportunities than any economy. It's shiny object syndrome. So let's go through the stats and we talk about all of these things that prevent startups, prevent entrepreneurs, prevent dreamers from achieving what they're trying to do. People think that it's lack of cash flow. They think lack of customers, like not finding product market fit. Building something that no one wants is the downfall of the majority of funded startups. So when you see all the different ways that startups fail, some flavor of that product market fit, not working with customers, yeah, that's the biggest single piece. But more than anything, most ideas die from distraction, right? They don't die because they're funded and move forward. They die because they never got there in the first place. Shiny object syndrome, I like saying it this way because it's SOS. And SOS to me, that means help, right? When we look at trying to bring an idea, a product idea, some help in our head, and we try to bring it into business reality, we've got to go through this personal evolution. I look at it like, here's the journey: is I'm a dabbler, then I become the seeker, I become a solver, I become an entrepreneur. I have to go through this evolution, but it's really, really difficult to evolve past that dabbler or that seeker to actually start doing something and then actually start making money, like providing value for people and getting to that entrepreneur zone. So, great entrepreneurs have these honed skills for seeking and uncovering opportunities. And as we evolve, that see and solve mechanism needs to be turned internally towards optimization of our business, improvement or self-improvement, understanding ourselves. It needs to be turned externally towards our customers, like how we message them, how we contact them, how we make sure that they're satisfied. We need to quiet the urge to jump from idea to idea to idea. And so it's going to be partially the way that we defeat this shiny object syndrome is going to be a mindset shift. So that urge for novelty, that need to apply that skill that we've honed, we need to turn it on our idea to improve it instead of turning it to set it aside. Because here's the story, right? And you for sure, a friend or half a dozen friends, or you've talked to somebody about their business and it seems like they're always halfway finishing projects. It doesn't matter if it's a craft project or a website or anything. They've halfway finished it. They were really excited about it for a while and then they had to set it down. And like that's kind of my story. I spent for sure my childhood, my young adulthood trying things, tasting things, learning things, but less on the finishing side. And I'm going to talk today about some of the techniques that I've used to overcome that, and then some of the shifts that I have discovered that allow me to find the value in finishing things and less value in the novelty of just going out and trying tons of little pieces. So I'm like the king of Project ADD, and I've done things from software to hardware to manufacturing to marketing, and I pull a lot of those pieces and they serve me today. But when I've chosen something to go all in, I have to focus on what my unique gifts are, what can become world class in, not just random things. So I feel like everybody knows a person like that, and you may be that person. You may be a dabbler. You may be somebody that just kind of halfway tries things. So I'm going to dial this back and talk about one of the first steps that I take and I try to improve on all the time, but it builds the skill to be able to maintain focus and defeat shiny object syndrome. So this is quick action, small habits that you can take right now. Is let's just end small distractions, right? So instead of looking at this macro view and say, I have to be this perfect person that's really locked in and doing everything, this complete life optimized way, which seems really difficult. Let's just try to optimize for small distractions. So I use time blocking. So I use a software called Calendly that helps people schedule meetings, but I just block off my schedule to make sure that people aren't randomly calling me and that I have time to focus on different tasks. So I block that time and say, I'm going to work on this customer project right now. I'm going to have these meetings. This is my meeting time that's available. And when I need to focus, I close my email, I flip my phone over, and that way I can just jump in. My email, it'll be popping up and I'll see it, and there's that temptation to go, hey, I'm working on a really hard problem right now. I can just jump into my email and solve an easy problem. And it seems like you're getting work done, but you're really not, because the difficult things, the big things, are where the big value is. And maybe it's satisfying to just do that quick, turnaround, but it really long term, it's not helping anybody. So that's a big deal. Another big deal is maybe you can get into flow and you can work for hours and hours on end, but the majority of the time, it's very difficult to get there. So if you can block your time, you can also take breaks. You can say, hey, I'm going to work on this for 45 minutes, and I'm going to take a 10-minute break. I'm going to work on this for an hour, then I'm going to take a little walk, or I'm going to take a little break. And if you're really busy, if you're running a business, there's always something to go do to then, to distract you. So you could use those breaks to kind of go do something else and then come back. Go do something else and come back. I find for me that moving around is helpful. But by ending these small distractions, you're going to get closer to finding out how you work. But more importantly, attention and finding flow is a skill, right? These little habits develop into and contribute to larger behavior, and you're building up the capability and capacity for focusing on work, focusing on a concept, an idea, a business, something to realize your life goals. So it seems like a minor thing. Hey, I keep turning projects down and I keep going from project to project. And why is Callie talking about just blocking off time? Because everything is going to be built from there, right? We'll talk about road mapping. We'll talk about more advanced things, but if you can't use a calendar and block off your time, how is getting a strategic roadmap going to be helpful? Because you won't even know how to apply yourself as your own resource to get that thing done, right? So we got to build up these little small pieces so we can use those big pieces. Does that make sense? It makes sense to me, and it's worked tremendously well for me. I'm generally very busy during the day, so putting these little pieces in place has been a game changer. And Calendly is a big game changer for me. So you try those tools. Don't get wrapped up in the tools, get wrapped up in the habit to build the discipline. But listen, if you can't build these while you're just getting started, when you're successful, shiny object syndrome will scale with you. It'll become more of a problem, not less of a problem. You won't be able to hire away this issue. That person will need management, right? Then that will become an additional distraction. As you get bigger, you'll have more pieces pulling at you. Successful people are in a hurry, right? Successful people guard their time, energy, and effort because that is your number one resource, right? If you're successful and you have money, right, you have cash flow, your business is working, you're the biggest lever to pull. Your time is the thing that you can't get back. So building this skill now will conversely, it will scale and become more and more of a benefit to you later. Really important. So moving into directly my first strategy for defeating shiny object syndrome is finding a purpose, doing what matters. If we can connect what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish with the actions that you're taking today, you can give yourself a really quick gut check, right? A really quick question. Every time that you see that new opportunity or your friend tells you about something, you can say something really simple. Does this activity bring me closer or farther away from my goal? Am I considering this because of novelty or purpose, right? People choose novelty because it's one of the basic human needs. But if you can maintain a focus on purpose, you can kind of remove yourself from the equation. You can look at it more objectively and say, hey, this might be fun. This would be an opportunity that maybe I can pursue later down the road, or I could see how our business could get into that as we evolve. But right now, this is the amount of time that I have. This is the focus that I have, and I'm trying to achieve these goals. This is why in coaching, this is the first thing that I ask people. What are you trying to accomplish? Who are you trying to become? What are your goals? Are you trying to create a business that you're going to sell in 10 years? Are you trying to create a business that you'll give to your children or your children's children? Are you trying to create a $1 million side hustle, or are you trying to create a $10 million or $100 million business? If we can connect those goals with your actions, it's easy to not get distracted. If I know that I'm running a business that's $10 million and I work on it 2,000 hours a year, when I see little opportunities, I know, is this going to produce $5,000 worth of revenue a year? And when you start looking at it like that, you'd say, no, most opportunities won't or can't, and they're not worth pursuing. So when we see like, ooh, this kid's making money on drop shipping. Oh, this person's doing this little hack. And you realize that can't scale up. It can never scale up to the value that you're trying to achieve, to the purpose or impact that you're trying to create. So it's a little easier to set those quick money type of things aside. So I really like that. It's a core principle. It's step one in our kind of coaching framework there. So, and our next piece, and this is a behavioral piece as well, and is depth over breadth, right? I do like dabbling. I really enjoy it, and I have to restrict myself with a lot of discipline because, you know, I want to pick up the new little Raspberry Pi invention or Arduino project, or I want to pick up this little thing. Like right now, I really like these little video machines that allow you to do hardware glitching. I've always really liked that. And you can program them, and that would be so cool. You know, I could make little videos, edit them, make something fun. But then I have to say, back to the purpose, how is this going to help me achieve my goals? It won't. Maybe I'll learn something. That's great. Learning is good. I think fantastic businesses allow you to learn at an accelerated rate, and that helps you achieve novelty and purpose and contribution and all of those things. But I mean, how deep am I going to go into that? What value am I going to achieve? And I realize, like, I can try all these things, I can taste them, but in general, I would say that our goal is to fire ourselves right from these. Is I want to try it, I want to understand it, and then I want to outsource it. I want to hire, I want to delegate it, because all the value comes from depth, not breadth. And everyone that I talk to that has this initiative where they're like, yes, they agree with my premise, change your life, change the world, we can have tremendous impact as entrepreneurs, they have a superpower. They have something that they're so good at that they go out and they ask their friends, what's my superpower? And they say, it's connecting people together. It's communication. Your ability to break something down. they figure out what their giftedness is, their unique gift. And their ability to grow a business is going to be tied, it's going to be heavily correlated to their ability to focus on that unique gift and finding depth to improve that thing versus trying to do 10 million things. At first you have to do the 10 million things, but as you grow, you're going to move away from it. And it definitely will not serve you in life to just go out and try arbitrary things forever. So good analogy for this is casual effort. It will not give you six-pack abs, right? And it will not build an impressive business, right? So the deal is that mastery requires commitment. The commitment and mastery creates world-class businesses. It creates that fulfilling sense or works towards our personal goals, and it changes the world. So when we look at, when I talk to somebody and they have that dabbler behavior or they can't stop seeking little pieces, to me, they're not working inside of something that they care to master, right? They haven't put a commitment to say, this is what I'm really going to do. And it's not that we're pursuing something that's difficult, because we know that everything that's worth doing requires effort, but it's just that they're not really connected with what they're actually trying to achieve. So if you look at it and say, hey, for me to build this business or go after this market, I'm going to have to be an expert. I'm going to have to become an expert, a subject matter expert. I'm going to have to exhibit mastery. I'm going to have to be the go-to person for my customer in this market. Do I have the commitment? Do I have the willingness to become that person? And if it's no, then we need to change the customer that we're focusing on. We need to change the problem that we're focusing on. We might have to change the product or the idea. We have to find something that, again, we can connect to on that roadmap far down the road, and we can pull in the effort from that. So really, really important, but that's how you overcome that dabbler behavior, because if you're just dabbling, as soon as something gets difficult, you're like, it didn't really matter to me that much anyways. And that's not commitment. That's kind of casual observation. So, and leading into this is that doing more is a distraction, right? We think like, we're going to take this on, we're going to take this on. And you see this with businesses that are a little farther down the road, or products as we get into product development. Everybody's heard of feature creep, scope creep, right? This kills more entrepreneurs trying to launch and grow than anything that I see, is because I deal with somebody who's gotten a little bit of traction. They are focused, they're passionate, they've gotten past this first little mindset piece, but they can't quite get to market because they want one more feature. If I create one more feature, everyone will love this. If we go after one more customer segment, our launch is going to be killer. If I create one more offer or funnel or a product in our portfolio, then we're going to achieve this success. And the world is so big that no matter what group of customers we pick, right, as far as we can niche down, there's so many of those people that whatever dreams that you have of initial success generally can be achieved just from that like one little group of people. And we can niche up, we can find adjacent markets, we can do all that fun stuff, but to prevent us from launching or to prevent growth, because we're just trying and adding and adding and adding and adding, we turn it into some kind of monster, but we never actually touches the market. So we never actually learn, we never actually make money, we never actually grow. We just feel like we're doing a lot of work. We're creating a lot of motion, but we're not going anywhere. We're running in place. So to defeat this, we need a roadmap, right? We need the tech roadmap. We need a go-to-market strategy. We need to work backwards from that goal. You say, yeah, in 5 years, I want to create a $10 million company. And I'm going to ask you why. Why do you want to create that? What's that going to do to your life? What is that going to help you achieve? Why do you want $10 million specifically, not $8 $0.5 million, right? But we create those goals, and then we can work backwards, and we can create milestones, and we can create strategies that map to those milestones and tactics that help those strategies come alive. But otherwise, we're kind of just aimlessly one more. And that's where we see that behavior of people just spinning year after year, where I meet them at an event, they ask me after a presentation, like, how do I do this? And we talk, spend 15, 20, 30 minutes with somebody, and then I see them 2 years or 3 years or longer later, and they've done nothing. And the reason they've done nothing is because they're always trying to do more, right? Or they've been, oh, I tried it, this, I did this, I don't know this. I'm like, just do something, just do it. Just go in and do something, right? But adding more doesn't mean that you're actually going farther, right? It's just more of a distraction. So, and then finally, this is a little bit more along on those lines, is you need to find a single voice, a through line of information, and at least follow that. I can give another fitness analogy for people. Hopping on program to program, you're not really going to achieve anything. Businesses like that as well. If you type in product launches, there's lots of different frameworks for product launches or strategies for it. There's low ticket offers, there's high ticket offers, there's affiliate, there's ways of using influencers, there's ways of doing B2B strategies. There's so many different ways to get to market, and so many different frameworks for product development, and so many tools for it, and time management tools. There's so many different things that people spend forever just trying or thinking about stuff, basically aimlessly watching YouTube videos and listening to podcasts, or ingesting mass amounts of information. It's procrastination, right? It's not just procrastination, it's an investment in distraction. You're injecting new ideas into a system, but you haven't really created that system so it can execute your actual original idea or what you want to achieve. So people are like, oh, I'll just retailer this, I'll retailer this, and never actually let it get into a customer's hands, never actually let it get any feedback. So easy way to defeat this is get a neutral third party, right? Get a mentor, get a coach, somebody that will help you look at that roadmap, look at your goals, look at your idea, what you're trying to achieve, and line them up and hold you accountable every week, every other week, every month, and say, like, are you doing the things? Are you doing the things that we discussed? Somebody that's a little bit farther down the road, they've solved a lot of those problems. And you can argue about tools, you can argue about processes, fine, but businesses were built for millennia without using Jira, right? The pyramids didn't use Asana. You don't have to use any of those tools, and there's no reason why you need to watch a million YouTube videos on product development or project management. It's not like the 107th video is going to unlock all the information and knowledge and like wonder of the universe. It's just going to waste another 45 minutes of your time. What you need is experience, and you can borrow that experience from a mentor or from a coach, but you can apply that borrowed experience to get your own in a much more rapid way. So I think that people hide behind learning through these, through getting information, reading business books, which are largely worthless, because it, again, feels like work, but in reality, what you're doing is putting things into that investment account for shiny ball syndrome, because you're like, hey, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to do this thing that's different. So we just recorded the podcast on overcoming the fear of failure. And I think that a lot of that shiny ball syndrome links back to the fear of failure. So that episode of the show should be coming out in a couple weeks, but it's really like as soon as things get difficult or we get bad, we realize that we're bad at them, it's easier to just jump and say like, oh, I'll just do drop shipping now. I won't develop my own product. I'll just do this. And because we're afraid that we're going to try something or we're going to invest our time and it not be successful. And we don't want to tell our friends that we did this and it didn't work out. So it's easier to hide behind the shiny ball syndrome than to look at that straight line and keep moving forward and moving forward. So very tricky thing. I know this is it's a big issue. It's a big issue for people, and it seems like it's the counterbalance to people that are obsessed with their ideas and can't come off it. The opposite of that has to be the shiny ball syndrome. But so End Hype Live, I'm going to keep it a little bit short. I am exhausted from all of this political stress and silliness that's happening in the world right now. So I'm going to try to go home, center myself, work on some things. I hope that everybody got a little bit of value out of this. Don't fall victim to shiny object syndrome. Do something that you care about, something that matters, something that has contribution to your life and to your community, and put in meaningful effort so it actually happens. If you got any value out of this, we're doing this every Thursday at 5 p.m. We'll be ramping up the live streams in 2021, which I'm really excited about. But please share this out. Right? I see there's a couple people watching live, which thank you so much, but share it out. Tell me what you got out of this, what your takeaway was. You can comment down below or comment in your share. I'd really appreciate it. That's how we're getting the word out. Next week, we're going to have an interview. I'm trying to break it up, see which thing holds the most value for people. I mean, last week we had Kelly, and that was fantastic, and people seem to really enjoy that interview. Next week, Jade says depth, not breadth. 100%. I love it. I think about that all the time. T-shaped people are the best entrepreneurs. We know a little bit of everything because we've been forced into doing so many different things, or we've seen so many friends doing so many things, but we have one deep line that's our unique gift. And we just go all in on that thing. We build a business around our giftedness. So yeah, please share out. That's how we're going to get more people on the streams, and that's how we'll get the best information, right? So End Hype, the whole concept here is that there's a ton of fluff and a ton of nonsense out there in the world, and I've literally read entire 200-page books that have less information than we just put out in the last 30 minutes. So Jade says we should have a session where people can call in. We 100% can do that because we're on StreamYard. It's amazing. I think I can have up to 12 people that are in the wait room, and we can bring them in. That would be really cool, but they'd have to be on video. So Jade, do you want to be on video? But at any rate, the mission here is to bring the information in a real actionable way. I'm trying to bring actual tactics and the concepts here and just deliver them to you in a non-fluffy way. There's no 20 pages of silly stories to try to prove to you that I'm right. I already know I'm right. I hope that you try them, and you don't have to read 20, 50 pages of business book nonsense to get a little piece of value. Oh, Jade says she's going to prank me on the call-in video. Go for it. Maybe that'll be the thing that helps me go viral. But my name is Callie Keen. This has been End Hype Live. Appreciate you. I'm out.